We used to ride horses. Then came bicycles, steam, gasoline, and today, electricity, artificial intelligence, driverless cars. How did we get here? And what else awaits us? At the beginning of human transportation stood the horse, a reliable, strong, and loyal companion. For centuries, people used its power to transport goods and passengers. But although the horse was indispensable, it had its limits. It needed rest, food, and could not travel for too long or too fast. The desire to overcome these limitations led to the search for new solutions. Man began to dream of a machine that would travel without fatigue, could cover longer distances, and carry greater loads. The first step on this path was taken by the invention of the steam engine, the first motor vehicle. Although it was large and slow, it showed that there was no need to rely solely on animals. A few years later, the first car with an internal combustion engine appeared. This little car changed everything. It was no longer just an experimental machine, but a functional means of transport that could begin to replace horse-drawn carriages. At first, cars were rare, noisy, and expensive, a luxury for the rich or a fad for technical enthusiasts. But then came the turning point. People were looking for a way to produce cars faster, cheaper, and in large quantities. And so assembly line production was born. Suddenly, it was no longer just pieces made to order. Cars began to roll off the production lines one after the other. Thanks to this, the car became an affordable means of transport. It was no longer a dream for the elite, but a real possibility for ordinary families. Streets began to fill with cars, roads widened, cities changed. Mobility was no longer a privilege. It became the new standard. The real turning point came with the arrival of a single, inconspicuous Ford Model T. It was not a luxury item or a technical curiosity. It was simple, robust, and, most importantly, affordable. Thanks to the revolutionary assembly line production, it could be produced quickly and cheaply. Suddenly, even workers and farmers could afford a car. People who had previously dreamed of owning their own car began to actually buy one. The Model T was not just a car, it became a symbol of a new era of freedom and mobility. Cars became part of everyday life. What had started as a technical curiosity now determined the rhythm of cities, the appearance of villages, and the way people lived. After the war, the real boom began. Economies grew, people moved to the suburbs, roads got longer, and petrol was cheap. Every family wanted a car, and most of them did. Cars became a symbol of freedom. You could go anywhere, anytime. It was no longer just about transport, it was a culture. A new way of life was born with cars. Cars changed the world, but the more they were used, the more we began to feel their impact. In the 1970s, the first hard wake-up call came, the oil crisis. From one day to the next, fuel became a scarce commodity. Queues at gas stations, panic, closed pumps. People realized for the first time that freedom of movement was not a given. It depended on oil. At the same time, another problem began to emerge. Cities suffocated in traffic jams and smog. Thick air, gray skies, noise. Cars were no longer just a symbol of freedom, but also part of the problem. The fight for change began. Developers were looking for ways to reduce consumption. The first hybrids appeared, experiments with electricity. It was still in its infancy, but it was clear something had to change. The entry into the new millennium brought a technological leap that changed everything, from safety to comfort and connectivity. Electronics became standard, autonomous systems, navigation, safety assistance, and at the same time came the first mass introduction of hybrid vehicles that combined a classic engine with an electric motor. The European market did not lag behind, led by traditional brands such as Škoda, which modernized its models and gradually began to discover the world of electromobility. New SUVs, smart interiors, and the first fully electric cars changed the idea of what a car could be. And today's car is no longer just a means of transportation. It is a smart partner on the road that communicates, learns, and adapts to its owner. Today, we live in a time when the automotive industry is changing faster than ever before. Electromobility is no longer just a promise of the future, but a reality on roads around the world. Manufacturers are investing in battery technologies, fast charging, and infrastructure that will allow electric cars to cover hundreds of kilometers on a single charge. Autonomous driving is slowly becoming a reality. Cars with advanced sensors and artificial intelligence can safely navigate cities and highways. In addition to technology, there is also a new approach to sustainability. Recycling materials, shared mobility, and the desire to minimize the ecological footprint. Finally, cars are changing on the inside. Digital cockpits, personalized controls, connections with smartphones and cloud services bring a whole new level of comfort and safety. What awaits us in a decade? What will cars and transportation look like in 50, 100 years? The idea of the traditional car may disappear. It will be replaced by intelligent, fully autonomous vehicles that not only drive themselves, but also communicate with each other and with the infrastructure around them. They can become part of shared fleets, available on demand, which will significantly reduce the number of vehicles in cities. And what about propulsion? Electricity will be commonplace, perhaps supplemented by hydrogen cells or new energy sources that we have yet to discover. We may even see flying cars or underground transport tunnels that will completely transform our ideas about movement. The future of mobility will be sustainable, efficient, and intelligent, exactly the kind we are starting to create today. Our journey to freedom of movement began thousands of years ago with horses, and today we stand on the threshold of a new era. Every step, every change in technology brings us closer to a better future. But the question is, what mark do we want to leave on this journey? The world around us is changing faster than ever before, and we have the power to decide whether this change will mean real progress for all of us and for our planet. The future is not just about technology. It is about the responsibility that comes with every decision we make. Because how we travel affects not only our lives, but also the lives of generations to come.